Here we are today, and we're going to talk about being happy while you are single. And I'm not going to say be just happy, but I'm going to say thrive. I'm going to say no, I'm just joking. I hate when people say that. I'm sorry. Everyone who says that, I mean, it's fine. It's just, it bugs me. But I think sometimes people can feel quite unhappy when they are in the process of looking for a relationship. So I want to talk a little bit about that. And I also want to talk about people who are happy single and just don't want a relationship at all. Because there are people out there, believe it or not, that really don't want a relationship at all. And I've had periods of time in my life where I felt that way. So first of all, let's talk about ways to kind of like be on that journey of looking for someone and feeling good in it while there might be some tough times. So I think first and foremost, when you are on this journey of finding a partner, you're going to need to kind of like get in the mindset of that it might take some time. And there are things you can do to prepare for that. Prepare your life for that. Prepare space and time for that. I mean, I know in my own life I'm quite busy and with creative projects, and also I'm one of those people who needs a lot of solitude, and so I've had to find space where I have that capacity. And sometimes there's points where I don't, and that's where I will tell you it's beneficial to take breaks from dating. And also you can take this time because this time is your time. And once you're in a relationship, it's going to, take a lot of your time and energy. And this is a place where you can prepare yourself and your life to like be in a really good space, to work on projects that you want to work on and go forward with things that maybe are going to be a little bit more difficult when you're in a relationship. I know that I've also, something else I think that's important to look at is this is a good time to look at what you're really wanting in a relationship so that you don't get into the wrong one. Because I will tell you, and most people who have been in the wrong relationship can tell you as well, that is going to sap a lot of your energy, and it may take away from how you do things and the things you want in your life. So I think that it's really, this is a good time to, people talk about making a list, and I would say, yes, I think it's important to maybe make a kind of list of the things you want to feel in relationship, like maybe a sense of safety and, somebody who you get along well with as a friend, things like that. It's more, I mean, we don't want to be so, I think you need to leave room and create some broad brush strokes. And what I mean by that is because sometimes you don't realize what it is that you're going to like. You might like different things in a relationship that you didn't even realize that you liked. Maybe, for instance, this person that you meet a person that you had no, okay, so for instance, I really don't have an interest in sports, but I could leave space for somebody who, like, maybe go to a baseball game with somebody or something if that was their jam or something. Like, I can leave space for things like that in someone's, if somebody's into something. So you don't want to be so, I've seen people put stuff as crazy as, what way do you put the toilet paper on? And if you're being that specific, then you're probably going to miss out on a lot of people who could be a good match for you. So in terms of what I'm talking about for a list, also like I mean, we can go over the obvious things like people talking about what height they want someone to be, or all of these things end up kind of trivial. And they might be on the nice to have list, but what I'm talking about more are character traits. You know, somebody with strong and healthy character traits. So those are things you're going to want to look at. And I think that, you know, if something like sense of humor is extremely important to you, now sense of humor, if you just say, oh, they've got to have a sense of humor. Now, that varies a lot. Not everyone has the same sense of humor. So, you know, you want to make sure it's like, maybe it seems a little bit obvious, but that it's the same sense of humor as you have. You find the same kinds of things funny in life, and that's not important for everybody, but I think there's things like that that you want to. This is all stuff in preparation that you can do while you're single, while you're out there dating. You have this time to explore. You know, this is something to look at, that you have this great time to explore different people, and you know, you might meet somebody through somebody. You might go on a date with somebody and you both click as friends, but it's nothing more than that. But then they invite you out to something else, or you guys end up going, he or she, or, you know, they might say, oh, you know, there's this event that I am going to, and it's like with a bunch of friends, and I think you might enjoy it, and I think you get along with all these other people that I know, or I don't know. And then you can meet somebody that way. So it's like, this is a time for exploration in your life, is what I'm saying. And I know that things can get quite discouraging, but also this is a time where you can maybe get more comfortable talking to people out in life instead of just focusing on the apps, because the apps are one channel. They're one channel. And you can, I was listening to someone talking about like how to get, you know, to know people in public spaces and stuff, and how to meet people at the grocery store or in everyday life. And you just, you know, you get curious, you ask questions, you know. One thing that she said that I thought was great was something about being at the grocery store, and maybe someone's picking up a certain vegetable or fruit that you haven't either had before or prepared before, and you can say, hey, you know, I'm not sure how you prepare that. And what I'm saying when I'm saying this is, you're not even necessarily, you could be talking, if you're not comfortable talking to people that you're attracted to, you can start out just talking to people in general. You can start out just talking to somebody who you wouldn't even have an attraction to. Just ask questions and start getting curious. And then because you're in that flow of doing that, it will help you in other areas. So other things that that you can focus on while you are single are what I briefly discussed is, you know, personal projects, things you like to work on, things you want to do. Because you're not going to have as much time, like I said. So, for instance, if you are, maybe you want to work on a very specific kind of art project where you're going to put together a gallery show or something, or you really, so this is an opportunity where you have this time to do this thing that gives you purpose and that you want to do. And so this is your time. This is a great time, because I'm not sure how other people feel about it, but I have also, you know, I've gotten in, you know, I've done all this work, and I'm like, oh, I'm so excited, and then I meet somebody, and then I get into the relationship, and then it's like, oh boy, I don't have as much time, and I'm kind of like, I ended up getting in something that ended up becoming stagnant, you know. And so it's kind of like you have this opportunity to, 1, work on yourself, work on your projects, 2, and 3, figure out what it is you want, what kinds of things you need in a relationship, from the kinds of traits and character in a person, to how you want to feel, to how much time and space you need. There's all of these components that are extremely important and that are going to make a better relationship when you get to that point, or better dates when you get to those points. And if you're thinking of all of these things and you're doing all of these things, it's a way to not be so focused on, oh, you know, this is so hard. I'm not, and again, there are times where it'll feel like that, and I'm not saying to not feel disappointed sometimes, and because you will. Overall, there's going to be times where things are disappointing, or you meet somebody and you think it's going somewhere and it just doesn't. You know, there's all of those things. And I would also say that, you know, not for everybody, but in general, I would say it is good to date a few people at once so that you're not hyper focused on someone, but that can be too exhausting for other people. And maybe you only date like maybe one person at a time. It just really depends on what works for you. But these are the things I think are that make things easier and a little, so you're a little bit more happy when you're single and in this process. And now I'm going to talk about people who don't want a relationship at all, because there are not very many videos out there about this, because when I was in this feeling in my life at one time, I really thought I didn't want to be in a relationship. And I will talk about one person that I know doesn't ever want a relationship. And that's Henry Rollins. And for people who don't know him, he was in Black Flag and a lot of punk stuff, and solo artist and author, and just a amazing mind, right? And he's not interested in being in a relationship because his primary focus of his life is his life's work and his art and his writing and his philosophy. And you can watch videos about him talking about that, and it's interesting. I know there's other people too. There are I have friends who are have a single life, and they're really happy with that. They don't want anything serious. Some of them don't want any kind of relationship at all. And I thought that I was one of those people for a period of time. And I do have periods of time where I feel like I'm at my best when I'm not with anyone. And so what I want to talk about is that sometimes that's hard for people to understand. Because the nature of this society, and also just nature in general, is for coupling up and reproduction and things like that. So, but our society has a very strong narrative on marriage and children. And when someone chooses not to have children, people think that's strange. And when people choose to not have a relationship, people think that's even weirder. And neither of them are strange. They're just not following a societal norm. And people sometimes will get pushy about that. But if you look at statistics specifically on women who stay single, they are among some of the most happy people that there are. And I will say, I don't, want to sound like a downer, but I will say that in my own life, I've been more happy when I was single. Now, I'm not saying that the right kind of partner couldn't come along. I keep open to that. And that's why I make these videos, and I, keep trying and dating when I feel in that place that I want to do it, because I think that there could be a really good partner for me, possibly. And I'm also okay with it going the other way too, where I'm not partnered. And because I have other things in my life that are fulfilling to me. Now I understand that, I've had very rich and amazing experiences in love and relationship, and they are peak experiences. I would say some have been in the realm of sublime. And I think anybody who knows what it's like to be in a loving relationship, or even to, endure a long lasting, high level of love, knows that it is, there are periods of sublime in that, and there are sublime things about it. So that's, I keep open to that. And I also understand that, as relationship goes on, and anybody who's been in something long term knows that as relationship goes on, there's your day to day. And there are ways to keep those sparks and things and the novelty alive. But a lot of people, maybe not a lot, but some people do choose to be single for they might have had something in their life, like, and may have had a marriage or something, and then they're just single the rest of their life. And they have other things that fulfill them, like friendships. Because here's the thing, romantic love is very tricky. And there are other kinds of love that can be fulfilling. There's community love. There's the love of friendships. There's the love of family. There's the love of pets and animals. There's, the love you have for yourself and life itself and nature and creating art and creating music or creating anything, really. Like anything. Like, what if you're like amazing at making food, and that becomes, that's one of your life purposes or your focus. When you have life purpose and you have this focus, and I know that, primarily this is talked about, that it's important for men to have this. And it has always made me so irritated, because it's not a man thing, it's a human thing. Your life's purpose has to do with, it's a human thing. It's not based on gender. I think that's always bothered me so much, because I am somebody who's always felt that life purpose and the things that I create and do have been the primary focus, and why, I really haven't had a primary romantic relationship, be the sole purpose in my life. And so I just want to talk to everybody out there right now. This message is for everyone who is choosing to not be in a romantic relationship and have reason behind that. It's fine. It's more than fine. It's absolutely a beautiful way of life. It's your way of life. It's your way of doing things. And your life is a fulfilled and beautiful one, because you are choosing your own path that works for you. And to everybody who has decided to have a romantic partner, your way is fine. It's wonderful. And as long as you're in something healthy. I will say, I do think that people who choose to be single their entire lives have different challenges, but it can be a more peaceful life. So, and and I think that sometimes people have a hard time understanding why, because it's so ingrained in our society that, you know, we should be with somebody, and people get shamed and people don't get breaks who are single, and there's all kinds of benefits and things like that for people who get married, or, you know, or are, you know, so it's, and I've had people ask me things like, you know, oh, what do you do when this happens? And it's like, well, geez, I have friends. I rely on myself, you know, well, what do you do when you're, I don't know. I mean, it's like you find ways to self-soothe. You find ways to do things that work for you when you don't have someone around. And yeah, there are things that are harder, but there's a lot of things that are easier too. I don't have to answer to anybody. And I don't, and I don't mean in the sense of, oh, like I have to answer to somebody, but I mean in the sense of I don't need to check in with anyone on whether or not something needs to go one way or another, or, you know, oh, can I go do this because I don't know if we have plans. Not that any of that's inherently bad. I'm just saying it's a different kind of freedom. Whereas when you have a partner, you have other things that are great. Like you have someone that you can rely on, or that can help you out, or like if you're sick, they can bring you, you know, extra stuff that you need. And, you know, when I'm sick, I, you know, will have to call a friend, or, you know, I'll get a grocery delivery or something like that if I need it, you know, that kind of stuff. So you just have to, there's trade-offs to everything. And I just want to say that neither path is better or worse. I really don't believe that either path is better or worse. They're just different. And I hope for those of you out there who are choosing to be single, that this gives you, I don't know, it's just that I see you and that I get it, and I think it's completely great, and that there are very few videos out there about that. There's very few people who take on that view. Everything out there, all the information out there is how to be happy while you're single. It's like, what if I'm never going to be with someone, you know? What if I don't even want to be with someone? Like Henry Rollins. If I can find that video, I'm going to find that video. I should put it in. He says something to the effect of like that there's a lady, and it's so funny because I know what he's saying. I can relate to it because it's like I felt that way before. Not about my partner, but just in life when I was in that kind of position where I was like, I don't think I really want to be with anyone. He's like, this lady was hitting on him, and he's like, hey, you know, I get it, but like, I don't want to be with anyone. And cause like, you know, it'll be all fun and everything. You come home, but then when I wake up in the morning, you'll be there. And it's just like, he doesn't want anyone interfering or being in his space in that way. And to me, that makes all the sense in the world. You know, that is something that works for certain people, and certain people have to get divorces and things like that because they just find that they are so dedicated to their life's purpose that that's all they have room for. They don't have room for any serious kind of romantic relationship. And that's just the way it is. So I hope this video is helpful to see both sides of happy while you're single and happy being single, period. And I will see you next time. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. And if you have any ideas or comments or anything, any kind of videos you'd like to see, go ahead and pop that down below in the comments section. And until next Friday, have a good one. Bye.